Ladies and gentlemen, this commercial is going to use subliminal advertising. That means you will never see or hear the name of the product. Oh, it'll be there on the screen, all right, but the naked eye cannot detect it. This way you sit back, relax, and enjoy me as I tell you this rather funny story.
The only problem with this story is that, look at that snow on top of that burlap. That was a zucchini underneath that thing, and that's, well, now that we're in slow-mo, this is my carrot patch. This isn't going to be a long video, so I just want to get a few things off my chest about this Plandemic, P-L-A-N, Plandemic, that is the result of a consortium of globalists, UN, WHO, Fauci, and the Gates Foundation, and a bunch of unelected bureaucrats that basically are into depopulation and vaccinating everybody. Crazy stuff. The ones that held that event 201, and this thing played out exactly as they've planned. They've somehow scared the entire country in the world into lockstep rule for the sake of some kind of, making them afraid of a seasonal virus. I mean, the virus exists. There's no doubt about it. They may well even admitted it. It came from Wuhan and might have been manipulated. But whatever the case may be, it's still, there have been worse pandemics. In 1957, over 100,000 people in the U.S. died. They didn't close down the country. A couple of years ago, some 50,000 Americans died. They didn't close down the country. People don't even know about half of these pandemics, epidemics, and annual flus that kill tens of thousands of people. They just capitalized on this. Anyway, here's inside my greenhouse. These white things floating around are snow, folks. It was 28 degrees last night, and it's going to be in the 30s. I'm in a climate, it's the middle of May, and those are pepper plants. I'm hoping that I can preserve these things by putting these plastic little jars on top of these plants that are inside the greenhouse. That was a tomato start I was trying. It doesn't look like it's going to make it. But yeah, as you can see, the greenhouse, at least at this point, which was around 11 a.m., I started playing around here with the camera to try to get the mercury in view. I think if you look real closely, it's about almost 50 degrees or 40, about 50 degrees in the greenhouse. So this stuff may survive. I have a little heat map in there, so we'll just have to see if that. You can see the snowflakes outside. I think this is geoengineering. I'm going full-blown conspiracy theory right now on this whole shebang, everything that's going on right now in this country and around the world. I think they're using HARP-like technology to steer the jet stream down lower in the northern latitudes, particularly the northeast, that had high instances of this SARS-CoV-2, which is the real name. That's what comes up when you're tested. I was tested. I tested negative. So in other words, they're trying to extend the flu season, extend the cold, because flu virus can't live above 75 degrees and heat, UV rays, and humidity. So they've taken us back into, I don't know, this is January, February weather. It's been like this on and off now for several weeks. I mean, it's relentless. And the long-term forecasts are showing us well into this coming week, and who knows, maybe beyond. I mean, it's snowing. It's the middle of May. It's in the 20s at night. I dressed like a winter, Eskimo to go to the grocery store this morning, walk to the grocery store. Geoengineering, weather manipulation, it's the year 2020. They have this technology. Who are we trying to kid? People are living like it's the 1980s. They don't have any concept of the, the current technology that the governments, the global governments, and these, the corporatocracy as I call it, and these big tech companies and big pharma, the power and technical abilities that they have. It's insanity. The biggest joke is, I don't know if I spoke about this the last time, but since I'm going full blown, off the deep end on this one, is that we're like game pieces on a big game board. And that's how they've always looked at us, as basically pawns of some sort, whether it was in various battles and war, but, or as cattle, as on our tax farms. But, the idea is you go into a grocery store, they make you wear this mask, which is insane because it does nothing but deprive your body of oxygen and take the bacteria and viruses that your body's naturally expelling, and breathe them, force them back into lungs and areas where they shouldn't be. Think about that. But then there's like, you go into these stores and they've got these decals on the floor, which is a sure sign of like that, man, they're planning on like milking this as long as they possibly can. I mean, decals and signage, walk this way, it literally looks like a game board. And there's like, they've got these round circles, stand here. And so because they're defining the social distance spaces. But the absurdity about it, there's two absurdities that show that it's a whole, fake, plandemic fraud just to manipulate and destroy people. Those are tomato plants that you could see wilted by that post. Man, I'm pissed. There were actually small tomatoes growing on there, but there's no way a tomato plant can deal with 28-degree weather. You could see they're dead. But anyway, so you're 6 feet apart, but then you step, when one person moves off their game spot position to the next, advances to the next position on the game board, you walk to their position, so you're in their airspace. So how is that social distancing if literally 1,000 people are sharing the same airspace in the same exact spot? It's not social distancing. Social distancing would be some kind of complex, randomized network where no two people ever stand in the same place, where they have these HVAC systems that are like supercharged to recirculate the air, so many times, within so many minutes, so that, and that have these filtration systems that filter out all of, in the microns, these, particles that would be, that would be if this was a real thing. Then you finally make it to the checkout, and then everybody touches the same, puts their ATM card in or whatever they're paying with into this thing and uses the keypad with their fingers. That's never cleaned by the cashier or anyone in the store. So that's the total absurdity. So you go in there, you're sharing the same airspace, the same air. You've got this mask on that's only is not helping you, because it's not like you're wearing a gas mask and you're hermetically sealed. These particles, this is like an RNA virus. It's, these are so, you can only see this thing under a microscope, not even a standard microscope. You need like an electron microscope or something. That's my square gardening thing there. All those herbs, I don't know, I put the burlap on them if they're going to survive. That's spearmint growing wild on the right. It's out of control. There's kale. That will come back because kale can handle a frost. The pond here, didn't freeze over last night, but that's been exposed to the sun. So, and I do have a little pump in there. You can see a little bit of motions, little waves coming out from that center area there. So the motion of the water and the pumping there, you see the little jet of water coming out is enough to keep that from freezing. As long as it doesn't stay below freezing for, too long a period of time. So, yeah, I advise you to do some research. Listen to the doctors that are out there exposing the hypocrisy of this whole thing, and how this guy Fauci is a vaccine profiteer. The same with Bill Gates, vaccine profiteer. How they're all tied in, from the WHO to the, these other various UN and these foundations. That's one big circle jerk. They're all feeding and funding each other. They don't really do anything, and their goals are global governance, control of the people, population control. They're open about it. They had that event 201 in October that basically predicted was set up for this coronavirus thing, so it magically becomes unleashed, and the WHO covers it up because they were involved in that thing. So this whole thing was pushed. We were duped. This was perpetrated by the globalists to destroy the economies, to bring people down to their control. That's a kale plant that's been trying to bolt. I keep cutting the tops off of it. And there's some more carrots there to the right of that, under that chicken wire. But you can see the grass and everything was fully green, and this is unnatural right now. For this extended period, in my neck of the woods as I speak, that's some wild mint right there. In my neck of the woods here, it's not uncommon. I mean, it's uncommon, but I mean, it's not that uncommon for us to have a cold snap one day, or a freak snow occurrence in May, early May. Usually it's like May 1st or May 2nd or something like that. But I mean, it's usually once and done. The next day it's 55, 60 degrees, or whatever. The ground was heated up so much that nothing stuck or anything. I mean, here's my apple tree. I'm scared to death about what if these leaves are going to survive. I mean, I'm in slow motion, and look at the wind, how strong the wind is moving this thing in slow motion. I mean, it's like, in other words, it's almost like blizzard. It's like it's building. At this point when I was filming this, it was like blizzard starting to look like it was blizzard conditions. I mean, this is crazy, insane. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Do some research. Don't listen to anything you hear from anybody. I mean, on the mainstream media, or even the politicians, even on this, if you believe, they're giving you half-truths. Seek out the real truth. We're being totally deceived, manipulated. I don't know. It's crazy, man. Visit my website, rockflux.com. Listen to some of my beat poetry tracks. I've been talking about this kind of stuff for years. I also have about 8 books out there. Check out 1 or 2 of those. In the meantime, just fight the power. Don't listen to them. Don't put up with this nonsense. My poor garden. Look at it. It's pathetic. I can't believe it. This time of day, I should be on that lounge chair back there listening to music and catching sun rays, getting a suntan. Anyway, take care. Good luck. Hopefully this craziness, insanity will end soon. Look at the wind. Look at